Hello, welcome to the Sideboard here at the StarCityGames.com Standard Open in Richmond, part of the SCG Tour, brought to you by Ultimate Guard. I'm Nick Miller alongside back-to-back Open champion Brennan DeCandio. How you doing, sir?
Quite right. Yourself?
Pretty good. Now, we saw you all last weekend. Cedric did deck tech with you, obviously the winner's interview. So we know all about the deck you're playing. The Black-Green Aggro Delirium deck. What is it like going into week 2 of the standard format where the deck you designed and played to win is basically the meta now alongside the Saheeli deck?
It's a very strange feeling. I'm not used to that. I usually build a lot of my own decks, or at least my own takes on different decks. But for this week, there's not really much to change. We haven't gotten all that much information and seen how people react. So it's really weird. I see a lot of people playing the same deck that I'm playing, like card for card almost, and I've seen the powerful Magic on it a little bit for the short time we've had it. But it's a strange feeling, and I'm not sure what to do. I'm just kind of running it again and seeing how that works out. So.
All right, I talked to you earlier, you said you changed like 2 cards.
Yeah.
So you're not feeling like that much pressure to adjust the deck. You're just kind of bringing it back. Do you just feel it's the best thing you can be doing in this format?
Right, yeah, definitely. It has a lot of the most powerful interactions. And it just, I think Todd Anderson alluded to in his article this week on Starcity that it's just a pile of good cards. It's hard to attack it. It's kind of like Jund was in Modern when they had Bloodbraid Elf and things like that, where it's hard to really target just good cards because there's no real weakness to that. So that's kind of what it feels like in this case too. So I'm just not really worried about too much hate. People are talking about maybe playing more Fumigates or something like that, but okay. I've played a lot of green creatures against Wrath of Gods before. It's not too bad.
All right. So you have thought about the repercussions of bringing the deck back again. No worries, bringing the deck again, and you've convinced a lot of people to play the deck as well.
Yeah.
We won't spoil it, but you have a bunch of the big names bringing your deck this week, and they said, I'm just playing Brennan's deck.
Card for card.
I think it's the best deck in the format, which is pretty convincing when people are saying that deck's the best deck when people are basically playing Splinter Twin in the format now. Yeah,
it's definitely a good combination of cards. It's a 1-2 punch that just wins the game, but it's vulnerable to a lot of things that are easy to interact with certain cards. And the deck that we're playing, the green-black deck, is very good at exploiting those weaknesses. So.
Now, we really saw you jump onto the SCG Tour scene, late last year, kind of bringing the full front, the team here. Now, you've won 2 Opens in a row. You're leading the seasonal standings.
Seasonal, yeah.
How are you feeling coming into this event? And, I've heard you, say on Twitter, Cedric said he'd eat his hat if you win 3 Opens in a row. What are you putting the chances here on, a three-peat?
They're not worse than they were before winning the previous Opens, right? So maybe better in some regards. No. It's just going to be, the tournament's just going to be another tournament to me. It's not that I'm like this huge pressure to win or anything. If I do well, I do well. If I don't, I don't. It's Magic. Anything can happen with the same deck any given weekend, so I'm not too stressed out about that kind of thing. I'm just kind of playing it and really, really wanting Cedric to get a hat. But, my ideal scenario for me, like as a player and like a person who loves stories, is to play against Tom Ross in the finals, kind of him defending the 2-time thing against me. And also so that Cedric has to sweat it out in the finals, so.
Right, I think all of us at home would love to see a bunch of those scenarios play out. You mentioned playing, hopefully playing Tom in the finals if that was a thing. You joined Tom and Jerry as the only people to really win back-to-back events.
Right.
How meaningful is that to you as, a player who's, making a name for themselves and just kind of really rising up the charts?
It's crazy. It's not something I ever expected. I was actually in the top 8 that Tom won in a row. I lost in the top 4. I didn't get to play him in the finals, but no, it's just crazy to think about that because I remember when Jerry won his 2 and how close people came to like breaking that. Like Ross Merriam, I think, got within a game in Legacy to tying that record a long time ago. And no, it's pretty surreal. I think I had a long drive home back from Columbus. It was like a 15-hour drive back to Florida. But when I finally came to and woke up on Tuesday, I just felt like it was all a dream until someone told me congratulations again the next day. So.
Right, you had a long drive back, you got some streaming in, this week
a little bit
on Twitch, so you've been playing the deck and talking about the deck, doing some reviewing. Not a lot of time in between, but now you're here, another Open. Obviously your goal is to win, but what are your expectations, coming into this weekend?
I try not to set expectations. I would always like to do well, but I do understand that Magic's a game of variance as much as skill, and sometimes that's not in the cards, but I would, of course, love to make, as I said, Cedric sweat as much as possible, but I have no real expectations. I just want to play Magic well and hope to see what that gets me.
All right, last question. Any predictions on what's going to happen week 2 of the format? We know there's 2 decks that are looking out for. Anything that's going to kind of surprise anyone?
I wasn't able to theorize about it enough. I think if we had another week to prepare in between events, who was it? Tom Ross said that normally decks that are like this that are that good are good for about 2 events in a row. And Brad Nelson won with Delirium right before the Invitational. I won at the event there, and he's like, well, this one's good for this week and maybe good next week, but after that, who knows? We also have the Pro Tour to consider. But no, the only thing I could think of people really trying to metagame against the deck would be maybe the Paradox Outcome deck. I don't know if it's good or bad. It was my only loss last weekend, but I also didn't have the time to test a Colossus deck, which the deck can't really deal with a giant, batch of 10/10s on turn 4 or something like that. So not too much, because it's like metagaming against it, because it's hard to really figure out the right solution to those kind of decks. They're really complicated. But if it's going to be something, it's going to be one of those, I think. So.
All right, well, thanks for joining me here on the sideboard. We're all going to be watching this week to see if the three-peat can happen. It's always a fun sweat to watch. Yeah. Congratulations on the back-to-back. Thanks for joining me here. Stay tuned to StarCityGames.com all weekend long for the action here in Richmond.